Welcome to Procurement Says No, episode 16. Good morning, Ed.
Morning. How are we?
I'm very fine.
I'm fine as well, yes, after this lovely weather.
Shall we crack on? Now, this time we are going to be talking all about consulting in procurement, whether you're buying them, working with them in your organisation, or indeed you're one of them. We've had so many questions, Ed, from listeners all around the world. We thought we'd do a whole episode answering your questions and giving a little bit of insight into the world of consulting.
Ooh,
What do you think of that?
selling the crown jewels for nothing.
Absolutely. Because both you and I have been consultants and interiming.
We've got all the tricks of the trade.
We know it all.
All the dirty tricks. Ooh.
All the dirty tricks.
All the dirty tricks they pull. Watch them.
Don't trust them. But first, the news. And be excited because in just 3 months, it's going to be the Procurement and Supply Chain Live London event. Yes, Procurement and Supply Chain Live London 2024 is coming, and it's a chance to connect, learn and exchange insights on the latest trends, challenges, innovations and best practices in procurement and supply chain. Well, as the name suggests, there will be unfiltered panel discussions, engaging presentations, valuable networking opportunities, and internationally acclaimed business leaders. And there will be industry experts, Ed.
Who?
I don't know, it just doesn't really say. But get along because the themes are going to be, listen to this, Ed.
I'm going to make a note. I'm writing it down.
Supply chain transformation, procurement technology, procurement strategy, sustainability and ESG, AI and supply chain finance, logistics and distribution, and SRM.
Those age-old topics.
So that's that.
Nothing new.
Any news from you?
Yeah, there is a bit of news. Zip.
Zippity-doo-dah.
Intake and orchestration solutions. I went on a webinar.
No.
Where Zip were talking about Zip. I listened to a presentation for an hour. Intake and orchestration solutions can help recoup value from investment in S2P vendors, especially for large organizations. While most intake and orchestration providers are focused on complementing source-to-pay solutions, Zip is adding native S2P functionality to not just complement but also compete against legacy providers with a more configurable platform that still offers key capabilities, e.g. sourcing events, sourcing supplier onboarding, payments, blah, 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 blah.
That sounds kind of the same as what everybody does, doesn't it?
Ed's takeaway.
Ed's takeaway. Oh, that's a new feature. So what's Ed's takeaway this week?
Right, so the way it feels, if you have a sophisticated ERP system,
Yes.
and some level of sophistication in your sourcing system that is either part of your ERP, i.e. SAP, and then you've got something layered over your ERP, if the ERP is not that good at procurement, which some of them are not, as we know, you will have some sort of source-to-pay system wrapped around your enterprise system, right? Pretty standard. And then what you're going to do is you're going to load on your orchestration system to your native systems. It's like cost on cost on cost. You have to have a fairly sophisticated landscape for this orchestration system, by the sound of it, to work. Because it's what it's going to do, a bit like a network diagram, really, or an octopus. It's going to have to put its tentacles into all different bits of your systems so that it can pull data from those systems to help you make the orchestration system work.
So you've got to have all your data properly aligned and that then, presumably? Or can it translate? It
can translate. Just in summary, Rich, I think it looks like orchestration systems, they're for the future, but they really only apply, to my mind,
to quite sophisticated places, right?
With a good sourcing solution already in place, and they overlay that. When I think about companies that I've worked with, a lot of them, the systems are not that sophisticated, and they're still thinking about a sourcing solution or a good P2P solution that has some AI built in it. Zip and others have all this stuff built in. They have AI, they have increasing levels of sophistication in spend analytics as part of it, and so on and so forth. But it was good to understand it in detail in the hype cycle. Their customers are sort of they all look like newish, startup-y. I think it's got a long way to go. There will be big people, big organizations who can buy from them and will help them build their revenue. But Yeah, so but it was interesting, and good to be on the pulse.
Ed Cross on the pulse.
I am the pulse.
He's still got a pulse. Anyway, more news. And this is from Max Garland at Supply Chain Dive. Alibaba.com, the giant Chinese online shopping monster, has rolled out Alibaba Guaranteed to simplify global sourcing for small and medium-sized businesses using their e-commerce platform. So a competitor for Amazon Business that we talked about last time. This allows users to find products at fixed prices and low order minimums with a guaranteed delivery date, which will potentially avoid lengthy supply negotiations and heavy spending on new products. Products in the Alibaba Guaranteed category are required to be shipped within 3 to 7 days, and fulfillment is handled by Alibaba.com. Orders are currently eligible for shipping to the US, Canada, Mexico, UK, France, and Germany. So there you go.
A direct copy of Amazon Business.
A direct copy of Amazon Business. You can buy anything you want, and maybe it's not just all fake stuff.
Again, much heralded, and I suppose with their aggregation model of aggregation of customers, they've got millions of customers, so no doubt good revenue model, but it's only touching the tip of the iceberg for the spend that procurement people manage, I suspect.
Yeah, not much for procurement people there. And it's not just fake stuff.
But hey, they do a great line in Rolexes.
And just finally, surprise, surprise, still nothing on the CIPS website. Their latest news is from January the 30th.
Excellent.
And that's the news. Right. Now it's time again for Ask Rich and Ed. And this time, all of your questions, as we said earlier, are about consulting and interim management, something that Ed and I are global experts in.
Gods of something.
Sort of. So this is from Mike Arnott in London in the UK. We need to supplement our procurement team. Should we use an interim manager or a consultant? And if a consultant, should we go for Big Four or boutique?
Give me a job. Thing is, what do you want? Is this project to bring in a piece of IT software, procurement software, and therefore you want somebody who's done it before? You might want a consultant for something that is sort of transformational or change orientated, and where there's a particular functional skill, i.e. they're a procurement systems expert and they've implemented systems before. And I think there's a great benefit of using consultants then. I know consultants are much maligned. Me and you were consultants. We were much maligned every day.
Constantly. Yeah, it's awful.
But the thing is, as a change agent who's done it before, they're going to do it much quicker. And they know what the answer looks like. They know how to get there. They know the basis of the principles of change management, transformation, etc., project management, all those sort of skills that maybe in a line role you don't necessarily have to do a lot of, or you don't think about a lot because you've got your day job to do.
So if it's big sort of broader scope stuff and change stuff, I think consultants make sense. But if it's sourcing activity, it might be better to find a specific interim in who specialises in that particular area, and especially indirects. There's loads of people who've done IT, they've done professional services, they've done FM. It's all they've done all their life, and the same can be true for directs as well, like food ingredients or commodities or energy or packaging. And my view is the Big Four will say they've done it, but I've very rarely seen that the Big Four have got strength in depth at a category level. Yes, they'll be great at data analysis and they'll be great at building business cases and they'll be great at desk research. But do they really know the suppliers and the markets and the contacts, the contacts, and have they really run negotiations? Probably not. I think you'd end up with a very inexperienced but very smart grad who will be great at the analysis stuff, but probably lack any credibility if you put them in front of a supplier. So,
and I think in the marketplace, if you just took the UK, for example, for interim procurement folk, there's got to be at least 1,000 people out there, at least in indirects alone. So you're buying experience, aren't you? Just in the way that I think the second part of your question was about Big Four or boutique. To your point, you're saying Big Four doesn't really work unless it's transformational. Yes, go with boutique.
Yeah, boutique is sort of somewhere in between, aren't they? The two, really. Yeah,
boutique or an independent interim can work. I mean, the only thing I say with the boutique is you've got a bit more of a guarantee that they're going to deliver and they're not a charlatan.
Jolly good, righty-ho.
So this is from Milan, in Italy. Riccardo Garibaldi asks, which consultancy is the best? There's a loaded question. What types of consultancies are there and how do you choose one? And then there's a second question from from Rich Tea in Kuala Lumpur. There are so many procurement boutiques. How do I choose whether buying from them or working for them? That's quite a long question there. Which consultancy is the best? Let's go there first.
Well, I think it's kind of C previous answer, really. So, I mean, as you've just said, Big Four if you're looking for wide-ranging change, especially if you're looking globally, across countries, across regions, or a very broad scope, multiple dimensions, program of change, blah, blah, blah. Comparing boutiques is hard because there are so many of them. And so you really might want to do some sort of PQQ and get a set of questions to create a sensible shortlist because there are loads of them. You need to have a general sense of what your scope is. Also, location might be important. Ideally, you would want people who can be locally on the ground, depending on what you need. Remotely, obviously, gives you more options, but you might want to have people on the ground and see the whites of their eyes rather than them being remote. Although it works perfectly well remote. Remember, though, when you're buying these, you're really buying, as you said in the previous question, you're really buying the people. So make sure you meet the people who are actually going to do the work, not the sales team or the A team CVs that they've put in the proposal. You'll buy the A team, you'll get the C team.
Many moons ago, as a PW, I presented to Smith and Nephew for a change program, and I got asked a question at the end when I finished presenting. So this was a loaded question. Are you going to deliver it?
All right.
So I had no choice. I'm going to deliver it. They said, okay, we're going to have a discussion amongst the board. Give us a few moments, whatever. Yeah, you've got the work. You're running it.
Okay, thanks.
And of course, you're on the hook.
I'll see you on Monday then.
Yes. But it's the other one. I'd just say, when you're picking consultancy, go and talk to their customers. Get citations. That's a biggie because they'll put like 40 logos on a sheet. You say, right, I want to speak to that one, not the ones that they've picked to their mates and all that sort of stuff. But
good idea.
Just pick some at random and just go and say, I want a 20-minute chat so I can see what it was like. Yeah, no consultancy is the best. They all profess to be the best, but they've all got their weaknesses and their strengths.
Yeah. And they all swap around, don't they? People move around from one to the other. So, very sage advice, Eduardo. Next question is from Polly Cracker in Seattle, USA. What's the best part of being a consultant, Ed? You loved being a consultant.
I did. Aside from the drinking and the parties in cities around the world. The thing that I noticed when I went from being in a line procurement role when I was about 28, the thing that I most liked were the people, the quality of people that I worked with.
Yeah, true. Everyone was smart and driven and everything, weren't they? Yeah.
Yeah, and I know it's like a bit of a broad brush thing, but when I worked in industry, there were lots of great people, but there were lots of people that weren't so great.
Yes, that's true.
You might not like some of the people, you might not be your type of person, but what clearly they had was massive professional depth and integrity and were really strong. And I think that was a great learning for me. The great experience for me. The first couple of years, I just thought, wow, I can't believe I'm here. How did you
get the job there? Jeez, Louise. And the opposite true, of course, if you work where everyone's stupid.
Oh dear. The other great thing about being consultancy, no day was the same.
Yes.
You get challenged a lot. So if you like the sort of intellectual bit of be awkward with me, ask me a difficult question, I quite enjoy that. I like that cut and thrust.
Intellectual stimulation.
Was it stressful though? I think sometimes.
Yeah.
Got some really awkward people asking you some really tough questions, and it was a bit like, ooh. But the best, my little anecdote, I was asked to go and meet basically the CEO for breakfast. And I got to say that I was cacking myself, thinking, what, and I'm spamming up on all the procurement and doing some shop floor change and all that sort of stuff. I went into this meeting with him and he got some breakfast stuff out, croissants and coffee, and incredibly convivial. But he asked me a load of questions and they were all not to do with procurement. And it was just utterly bizarre. And he asked me loads of questions about HR. And I said, well, if it was me, I'd do it like this or do it like that. And
obviously respects your view.
No, I don't know what it was. Maybe he was just using me as a sounding board. It's sort of like, before I was dull and blunted, bright young thing.
The vast amount of experience that you get in a very short period, whether that's from clients or types of assignments or the teams you work, as you said, the teams you're working with, because most of the time people are pretty smart, pretty driven and know what they're talking about. And travel as well, as you mentioned earlier, the international travel was good, especially in the bigger firms with global reach. Let's go to New York. Let's go to Chicago. Let's go to Milan, etc. It was great.
8 months into PW, I went to Japan.
Yeah. Oh, yes, exactly. Yeah. 2 weeks in Japan, training with Kawasaki. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just like, you've got to pinch yourself.
Yeah. Next one.
This is from London in the UK. Jamie Dodger. Can you bluff your way in consultancy? And have you ever been there when you're making it up as you go along? Well, clearly that's a question for you because that can't be for me.
And the answer is absolutely never. There are occasions when you may be 1 or 2 pages ahead of the client, but not often. I mean, when you first started, I remember when my first assignment was all about supply chain and Kanban and stuff like that at a big jet manufacturer, and it was like, oh, you were the same, weren't you? It was like, oh shit, we need to spam up on this stuff because we're being asked difficult questions about Kanban and manufacturing lines and configuration and things like that. But yeah, as you said, we then went to Japan and learned all about it properly.
Yeah. So can you bluff your way in consultancy? I think so. When Rich and I were at Pricewaterhouse, we joined at around about the same time, and Rich went on to a particular job, and I went to a job at a design centre, major design centre for a company, and I was creating training material, and I'd really never ever delivered a training course or created a training program. And I created training material on value engineering and value analysis,
which is one of your specialist topics.
It is. It's what I studied, at school. And so my answer was, and this is, a long time ago before the internet were created, and I went to a bookstore, technical bookstore, and bought a book. And the 7 steps to Gage's value engineering approach, or value analysis, Gage's value analysis. And I learnt it, and I created a training deck.
Wow. Whereas I bought a book called
Bluff Your Way in Consultancy.
I bought a book called Bluff Your Way in Consultancy by Nigel Viney, which is, I shall quote a piece from it because it's funny but true. It says, on no account must you make the mistake of supposing that you are the umpire in any contest taking place in senior management. You are a participant. The important thing for you is not to decide what the right course is, but which side is going to win. Prime objectives for the consultant, therefore, are to find out what the battle is all about, identify the 2 sides in the engagement, pinpoint the allegiance of all possible participants, decide which is the stronger side, and finally, write a report which recommends all of the courses that the stronger side favours.
That's why I never made partner, because I never did that. Did you?
No. And then the other one is, which I thought was good, is this. This is about employees at the top. Be wary of suggesting an increased number of directors. The managing director, chairman, or board of directors for whom you are working will certainly regard any suggestion of this kind as crass. They're the last people in the world who will countenance their own devaluation or adulteration by a watering down of their own status. There is only one way in which you can deal with this. This is when you suggest turning a department or a division into a subsidiary company.
No.
This works on several levels. There is a great deal of merit pleasing all concerns. The directors of the subsidiary company will be delighted at their own new status, whilst the original board of directors will be equally delighted as they have suddenly become main board directors. It's a great little book.
We've just given a couple of our examples of how we can bluff your way. You can probably get through an area when there's no expertise on the client side and you learn the topic and become the expert. You can probably get away with that. But I think in terms of generally just bluffing your way as a consultant, because you're change agents, basically, I think, really, as a consultant.
You ain't going to last long.
You're not going to last long, and you will be fired by the consultancy, or what it used to have when we were at PW a long time ago again, but was a sort of encouraged ETL policy. Yes. They wouldn't fire you. They just say, you should look for another job.
Yes. Next one is from Bruce Timtam in Sydney, Australia. What's the worst part of being a consultant, Ed?
Jet lag.
Yeah, jet lag. I put travel. Yeah, can be the travel.
Stress as well, I think.
Can be very hard work, long hours, sudden urgent requirements. Difficult clients.
I've worked on jobs where I've started at 7 a.m. and finished at midnight and gone back to the hotel, gone to bed, then got back up, had breakfast, and then gone back to work. When you're 30, you can sort of live with it. I think as you get older, I think that gets very, very hard. And I think the same with jet lag. I had a thing where I was going backwards and forwards because I had a young family. I was working in the States. I came home each weekend. So I'd fly back on Friday night, arrive Saturday morning, and on Monday morning I'd fly out and then work.
It's a killer.
Yeah, it's a killer. You start to not know what day it is. You lose the ability to speak.
Which is kind of where you still are, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. I think the other one is There's some situations you get put into which I think are incredibly stressful. It's a matter of how thick your skin is and how you can deal with that level of stress. So sometimes you go in a situation, you could be running a workshop with a bunch of very senior people in a foreign country. As I did, I worked with Fiat. I ran these workshops. There was simultaneous translation. I had the top people in the room and I'm telling them where their business was weak. Quite daunting.
Yes.
And it's in a different culture, and they had a Senate style. So a little bit like the Roman Forum, lots and lots of debate. I had no real experience of Italy and the thinking and how they played out, and you just have to sort of react on the wing sort of thing, and very tiring, I think. So yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Really, I think that's the
and some clients are excellent, and you learn a lot, and some clients terrible, or they're full of indecisive people,
or they're out to get there after you. I've had it where
Yeah.
you've been presenting, and you get somebody who's just very, very awkward.
Yeah, just not buying into something. And it's kind of, well, we're just here to help the change,
but they go after you because there's a sort of ego thing going on. It's like, well, you're a consultant, you must be really good, and you must think you're better than me, and whatever. And you get that whole human dimension.
But remember PwC, where there was 2 teams were created. There was a restructuring of PwC when Ed and I were there, and they created, is it the international team and the bin bag? Do you remember the bin bag? And the international team was full of all the FTSE 100 and global organizations, and the bin bag was small local businesses. Ed and I, of course, were put into the international team.
Yes, yeah. I think the other challenge, just one of the things with consultancy, work-life balance. When you join from industry, you're like 28, 29, 30, 31. Typically, that's when you're probably in a relationship. You might have kids, you might have young kids, all that sort of stuff, and then you're getting on a plane on Sunday night to fly off somewhere.
Yeah,
how that
can be
affects,
tricky.
How that affects your family, your relationship, your health, all that stuff.
Yeah. So, question 6: when bidding out a consultancy program, how would you advise I do this? And this is from Jonas de Gesif from Paris in France.
Consultancy, they're going to come back at you and they're going to tell you how it's going to be. They're going to push their terms and conditions on you and say there's no other path, because they're Borg and they're massive, as we talked about on previous podcasts.
You will sign our terms and conditions.
So I've seen terms and conditions from big strategy house that are like 1 page, all benefiting them. When you go out to tender, you need to describe exactly what you want and the outcomes you desire. And you need to be very clear about the time period when it's got to hit the P&L. And you need to tender your terms and conditions as well.
Yeah.
So you should have a contract for consultancy or professional services, and you should be tendering that, and you should put that up front. Because generally speaking, the way that people buy consultancy is they bring some consultants in and they sort of a bit lazy really and let the consultancy do all the running.
Yeah. And they'll come in and they say, I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want, but I have a very particular set of skills I have acquired over a long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you.
Nice. I'm just going to say one thing that consultancies are really good at, because you're told to do it, is they'll go over your head.
Yeah.
And they'll go to the top. And the expectation from the leadership in the consultancy when somebody's selling to a prospect is that the person selling will have spoken to the CEO of the organisation.
Yes, and we'll come on to that in another question later on.
Yeah, so you need to do as much as you can to manage matters, and you need to talk to the people above you when you're going out to market and explain what will happen.
Next one, number 7.
We are running a change program in HR. How do we measure the value add from a consultancy program? So this is a good question, because this is anything that sort of doesn't have a financial outcome. If you're doing something in finance or something in procurement, you think of outcomes, don't you? Think 10 million, whatever a year. But what about when it's a softer area where it's more difficult to evaluate?
Who's that from?
This is from Johnny Jaffa in Dubai.
Ah, right. Well, as you say, I think it's about really having clarity on your objectives and clear goals and clear deliverables and outcomes and clear accountabilities. Don't give the consultants get outs for not getting their stuff done. Check their proposals for caveats. As you said earlier, they will be full of caveats. If we don't get access to this data, if we don't get access to these stakeholders, blah, blah, blah. And ensure you deal with them one by one, I guess. But payment only on delivery of clear milestones and deliverables, not just time and materials. That's a killer. Make sure you have clarity on, you know who the team is and the consultants you're bringing in, and you know what they're all supposed to be doing, what their roles and responsibilities are, because they will just sneak people in. And also watch particularly for very, very high cost partners and senior directors who are going to quality check the work and show up every few weeks to just do stuff and put a bit of time on the clock. Make sure that they are actually delivering. So whether that's talking to your board or mentoring or advisory, not just putting time on the clock, I think.
If you've got deliverables, let's get them to be monthly deliverables or weekly deliverables, and then set up the governance process and rigorously attend steering groups or review meetings with the consultancy. Good discipline. Every week you have a written report on a Friday, exactly what's been achieved, plus any blockages, because you need to be debating that. Perhaps have a call weekly, nice and crisp, 30 minutes, just like, what are you doing? What's happening? What's good? What's bad?
Yeah.
What do we need to help with? And then a monthly steering group of some sort. And they talk specifically to the contract, and you hold them to account against the statement of work or however it's been described.
To keep tabs on it.
When you're contracting with that consultancy, be very clear about how the change process in the contract works. So they need some more resource, or we've given them a harder thing to do, or something's changed. You need to be very clear about what the mechanism is for adding more cost to the program and how the approval process works for that, because often it's very unclear. People like to leave that sort of stuff.
Change approval notices and stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
This one is from Peter Shortbread in Glasgow in Scotland.
Peter Shortbread.
Isn't it always safer, Ed, and better to use a big global consultancy? They will always make sure we get the results we need.
Really?
Discuss.
The press is littered with cases of big consultancies and big audit firms who didn't quite get it right, and then their client sued them.
Yes, lots and lots of them, aren't there? All over the place. Isn't the PwC banned from Australia or something? Aren't they? I'm sure they are. I'll check that out.
So what's safe about a big consultancy? Well, it's like any big business, isn't it? They have deep pockets. If something really does go wrong, and reputationally they will be worried. However, there are lots of cases of big consultancies falling out with their clients and then going to court and all that sort of stuff. And it's littered. There's loads of examples.
Yeah, PwC were banned for 3 months from receiving any tax-related contracts in Australia in June 2023. There you
go. However, do you want to pay double the price for the certainty? Because that's what you're doing, basically. If you went with a boutique consultancy, you're going to probably pay half of a big consultancy, because the overhead that a big consultancy carries.
Yeah, I think you're right, yeah. You'll never get sacked for hiring IBM was the old quote, wasn't it? And I think the same is true for EY or PwC. And yes, I think you're right, you get the brand and you get the reputation. So that's positive. And if something goes wrong, they will try very hard to either A, put it right, or B, send in the lawyers.
Depends on the nature of the project. If you're going to do a global change program, it is probably quite likely that it's only one of the big consultancies that can provide
that level of scope,
and that level of coordination and stuff like that. Whereas if you're doing a piece of work that's just in Lichfield, then you don't necessarily need a big consultancy to help you, do you? Because you've got one site, and there's probably lots of boutique consultants around. What's appropriate rather than what's safer. A bit like if you're doing strategy work, where do they lean? They lean towards McKinsey and people like that. Are they getting a better service than somebody who used to work for McKinsey and got their own business? Nah, probably not.
And on a similar note, the next question is from Diego Sponge in Madrid, who says, my main stakeholder for a transformation program wants to use the consultancy where he used to work. How do I deal with this lack of objectivity, Ed?
Kill him. Destroy. It's very, very difficult. What you want to do is talk to other senior stakeholders. Then I would say, let's run a tender. Talk to your boss and get air cover.
Yes.
And then do a very, very objective selection process. But trust me, that's really challenging.
He's my best mate. I've worked with him for 15 years and he's done this. I can trust him. Blah, blah, blah.
And he's brilliant and he always delivers. Yeah, and the reality is in life, it's about networks and it's about people who you know. You've got to just navigate it very carefully. But I think the only way you can deal with it is one, get air cover, and the other is be really objective in the selection criteria and get it tendered.
Exactly. I think that's the way. That's how you say it, isn't it? So let's just prove that they are the most competitive and the best. Try and persuade them to go out to market. It's always a sensible thing to do. I'll also ask him whether he is sure that the particular team he has worked with is still there, because the buggers do move around. Or alternatively, just go for it.
Yeah, nepotism. Yeah,
whatever. Okay, it saves me a lot of bother.
Yeah, just do it. So this is from Marie Chantreuse I hope I said that right, in Marseille, in France. Why don't IT enterprise software providers implement their own software with clients? And why do they rely on consultancies? Is it because they don't understand how to implement?
I think it probably is, because obviously, if it all goes wrong, when it all goes wrong, they can't be blamed when the implementation takes 3 times longer than expected and costs 4 times as much and doesn't deliver any of the proposed benefits from the business case. And they can go, well, it was because of the consultants you used.
I'll give you another perspective.
Go on then.
They make more money from the software than they do from the implementation, and they can keep their corridors thin of people. Yes. And just have techies and designers and coders and stuff.
And all of that dirty implementation stuff is for somebody else.
Yeah. Our model is we create the software, you implement.
Off you go.
Win-win. You get some revenue, we get revenue. And the other one is that it's a slightly different skill set, isn't it?
It is. It's all about change management,
and transformation. Whereas the software is the software, isn't it? It's building a technology platform.
That's quite a straightforward answer then.
Yeah.
So here's the next one. This one's from James Jacobs from Massachusetts in the US of A. Would you recommend a career in interim management? What are the pros and cons? So slightly different from a career in consulting, a career in interim management, Ed.
It's like being in consulting, except you have the risk because you're not employed. The challenge really to be an interim is financial security.
Yeah.
That's it really. It's much like being a consultant. You've got the issue that you haven't got a regular income with a pay slip every month. Yes. The benefit is you're consulting. You're seeing a different environment. It's just the same as being a consultant for one of the big four or whatever. The only thing is you don't get any training. But I know people who do it where they take every summer off.
Yeah. I did it for about 3 years, and it was one great thing was focus. You generally get a very clear brief, which can be great. This is what we want you to do. Bum 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 bum. But I was interim for a couple of years actually at Royal Mail in a senior management position, which is a bit weird. But I was
involved in the post office scandal.
No, that was you.
Oh.
And I had oversight of all the spend, which is a bit weird, but it was very good fun because I was effectively the procurement director. But one thing that was good, it was you don't get involved in the politics. There's lack of politics. You don't need to get into that whole politics of the organisation. You go in, you do your bit, come out, do 6 months in, do 3 months off, you choose.
Yeah.
Variety is good. And then, as you say, the cons, you're always just maybe a week from being exited. We've run out of budget. You're always needing to be looking for the next role, and you've got to have that sort of sales focus all the time, and that lack of security. Yeah,
I think it's good fun though. I think, isn't it? It's sort of, and if you don't like the role, you can move on.
Yeah, indeed. Bye.
Whereas in a line role, that becomes more difficult because the process of moving jobs is subject to long periods of notice.
And there's a huge network, isn't there, of interim sort of agencies who will always looking for people. And the thing about interim is you need to be available right now.
Yeah.
And if you are available, then the actual numbers of people who are available exactly at the same time is limited. Righty-ho, next one. This is number 12. This is from David McVitie in Aberdeen in the UK, related to the above, really. I'm a head of procurement and my team has a few gaps in both numbers and skills. If I were to use interims, where is the best place to do so? It's similar to question 1, this, isn't it, really?
If you're bold, I think you could go to somewhere like LinkedIn. I think you could go online and find the interims, and then you just got to quiz them. A bit like a mini tender, really. What have you done? Where have you worked? Who are your references? So you could do that. Or you go to an agency. Fairly straightforward. I think there's loads of known procurement agencies out there.
Yeah, there's loads of agencies, as I mentioned earlier. Yeah. The key is you've got to interview them. You've got to work out what's their drivers. Are they going to stick around? Next.
So from Michel Bobon in Lille, in France. See the way I said that in a French accent? That's fantastic, isn't it?
There's been a few from France this
Yeah, why is that?
No.
Would you recommend a risk/benefit share approach when using consultants? So would you use a gain share type approach to using consultants to deliver?
Interesting one, this, isn't it? Consultants generally do like to come up with this as an idea and they stick this in their proposal, but it very rarely actually gets used because everybody just kind of pulls away from it, don't they? So I'd say probably not generally. I have seen it with a client that I'm working with, or have been working with recently, where they've used it and it didn't go that well, really. There was as was said earlier, there's too many caveats and too many decisions that have to be made, blah, blah, blah. So probably not generally. It's very hard to measure. It's very hard to tell whether it's really because of what the consultants has done that the savings have come in. Sometimes it's very easy for the consultant to wiggle out. As I say, they've got so many caveats. You didn't provide the data in time. We didn't have access to this. We didn't make the decision in time. The market changed. So yeah, on balance, I'd say probably not. Let's go for deliverables, clear outcomes, clear objectives.
As somebody who worked for a gain share-based organisation when I was at Exchanging Procurement Services, it is a nightmare. Yeah. Absolute nightmare. We had a client at Exchanging who we were just about to sign the contract, but they wanted us to start and get after the money and that. And one of our guys spent about 2 days renegotiating their utilities, electricity, and he saved £500,000.
Wow.
So we said to the client, we're on a gain share, £500,000, 250k, please.
Yeah.
Client said, what did the client say? Oh, no, that doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
What, you put 2 days effort for £250,000? No, we can't give you that because it doesn't feel right. Yeah. Well, that's not right because our contract says we get, they never paid it. No. Because it sticks in your throat. I could go into clients, well, a lot of businesses, not the very best, but a lot of businesses, you can save money on what they buy.
Yeah.
Particularly if you go in there just as a third party, you've got no baggage. You just go, that's too expensive. It should be this price. And you need to beat the supplier up, whatever. Have a hard negotiation, ruffle a lot of feathers. You get your saving of 25%. Is that for the best interest? And then what happens when you save lots of money? You go through a massive admin time. Because when I was exchanging, we had lots of admin people dealing with calculating these savings. What I would say, go for a cap and collar approach with some sort of disincentive and incentive for delivery. The fee's 100%. Let's say you get the fee in full if you deliver the saving.
Yeah.
If you don't deliver the saving and it's out by more than X, we keep 10% of the fee. You don't lose the whole fee because it drives the wrong behaviours. If you're not careful, you end up in a gain share situation. And if you over deliver by more than X, then we'll give you a 10% upside. That's it. That is a model that I think people can work with because it really incentivizes the consultants to really go the extra mile, but also it stops them doing the wrong thing for the wrong reason.
Next one is from Umberto Hobnub in Milan in Italy. How do I recognize when the consultants I'm using have moved into land and expand mode, and what should I do when I see it happen?
When they buy homes near your factory, start investing in real estate in your local area,
we bought a hotel.
There's some people that you deal with that are in sales mode all the time. So that's one way of recognizing it. They're continually trying to sell to you and saying, we've got this offering, I know we're doing this HR chart, but we've got some fantastic IT people. I've noticed your IT system's a bit dodgy. I could bring some people in and help solve that. The other is, I think, by virtue of the way in which they suggest things are wrong with the program that they're delivering and the stakeholder. And then what they do is they say, it's all a bit harder than we thought it was. We need to bring more people in.
Or we need to extend the program a little bit longer.
Yeah, and then pitching to other stakeholders, going, this is a bit tough.
And there's also, if as part of that, I guess it's when the A team has started to morph into a different team. Hang on, who are these new people? And it's now the B team, or it's the B team times 2, and there's more and more consultants coming in, and that lack of governance has allowed them to sneak additional bodies in. Okay.
Just as a little note, a general note, something I've done is. There's a thing called Glassdoor.
Oh, yeah.
Online. So on Glassdoor, you can see how people feel about the company they work for, but more importantly, you can see what they earn.
Yes.
So if you're engaging big consultancy and you want to understand what's going on with their people, so have a look at the background of the people that you're using.
And they're charging an analyst out at £850 a day, and they're actually paying them 37 grand.
And they're just out of university. And so look at their background. I looked at a consultancy and they'd promoted loads of people, which is why they wanted to put their rates up. But they were the same people that were on the program. And I looked them up. Most of them were literally 1 or 2 years out of university. And one of them had done marine biology, and they were doing a financial transformation program.
That's fairly relevant.
I thought it was, yeah. Studying dolphins when you're re-engineering the finance function.
Certainly had a little bit of porpoise to it.
What do they make? How much do they noise to dolphins make? That's it, yeah.
And finally, from Jacob Assortisman from Oman.
Ooh!
It says Oman, UK here, which is wrong, isn't it? Oman. How do I negotiate with an incumbent consultancy when extending our engagement with them? I would say, first of all, well, don't worry, because your stakeholders probably already told them they've won the work.
So the standard thing that people do is they tender it to other consultancies.
Yeah.
And all the other consultancies know that it's a sham. Because who changes a consultancy mid-program? So, but you could do that, because I tell you what will happen is those other consultancies will know that it's a sham, but they'll feel obliged to send a bid in.
And they'll put a bonkers bid in.
Yeah, so you use that bonkers bid to shove it up the nose of the incumbent supplier. The other thing, I think, given that they've been there for a long time and they've covered all their overheads, their sales overheads, et cetera, and you've studied the people who are on the program and you've just looked to see if they're marine biologists or whatever, I think what you do is you say to the supplier, no, we're not going to renew with you because we want a discount.
You know our business, da-da-da-da-da.
Because we've trained these people. They've got better, blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
Yeah, so you better give us a discount. And generally speaking, if you push them, they will bend. I've been involved in negotiating with big consultancies. It's sport.
Jolly good. And that's it. That's it. Many questions answered for your delight and delectation on Procurement Says No.
Yeah.
You've now learned everything you need to know about consultants, interims, whether to be one, whether to not be one, when to buy one, when not to buy one. It's been lovely, Ed.
It's been an experience.
So we will see you all again next time for more.
Oh, perfect.
Happy holidays. What?
Bye, y'all.
I'm going to go and get a biscuit.
Oh, a hobnob.
Indeed. Perhaps a bourbon.
I joined an AI community group on LinkedIn to promote our podcast. And it had like 18,000 members, but I don't know whether it's had much of an impact.
Perhaps we have a little break. A break of 3 weeks, I mean.
That's a long time in showbiz.
Oh, yeah. Who are they? We've forgotten all about them.